What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Back in Bama. Back in Bama with Corey. All about Bama football news, updates, and more. Hey guys, I'm not going to take up too much of your time as usual, but welcome to the channel as always. I came across an interesting piece via Saturday Down South where it asked the question, why Kalen Deboer won't survive past 2026. It's asking a question and going to attempt to answer it. Just over 43 years ago, the Alabama Crimson Tide chose former player Ray Perkins to take on the mountainous task of replacing the legend. Paul Bryant had decided to retire after the 1982 season, capping a Hall of Fame career that included then record 323 victories and 6 storied national championships. Someone had to replace the almighty Bear. Of course, so why not stay in the family and tap one of Bryant's favorite players to assume the mantle? The problem, of course, is replacing a giant like Bryant was practically impossible. No one could walk in the same shoes without the non-stop comparisons to the almighty Bear, a shadow that somehow got cast even longer when Bryant suddenly died in January 1983 before Perkins coached a single game. Sure enough, Perkins flamed out in Tuscaloosa after 4 seasons, and despite a solid 32-15-1 record. Put simply, just being very good wasn't nearly good enough for Alabama fans still living large off the Bryant's memory. Now, it says that flash forward to the present day as Kalen Deboer is preparing to begin his 3rd season in Tuscaloosa after replacing the almighty Nick Saban, who won 6 more national titles at Alabama and retired with a 297 on-field collegiate victories. The Perkins-Deboer comparisons have been and continue to be inedible for the simple fact that it is impossible to replace a legend, which is why I come before you on this day to offer this stunning yet predictable prognostication. Kalen Deboer won't survive at Alabama past 2026. Deboer's crime, like Perkins, has as much to do with the reflection as it does the reality. Saban is still around, of course, and as a weekly presence each fall Saturday afternoon on ESPN's College Game Day, the field the Crimson Tide play on is named after Saban, and within a stadium named both for Bryant and the former school president George Denny. Heck, the bronze statue of Saban alongside the Walk of Champions casts a literal shadow on Deboer every time he leads the Tide into the stadium to play. And just like Perkins, Deboer will forever be judged not on his team's actual merit, but instead on what it is believed Saban would have done with the same talent. Don't believe me? Count how many times either television cameras catch Saban wincing while watching a game in Tuscaloosa in person, or is referred to when Alabama is struggling. Gaining any kind of consistent toehold of success in college football is harder than ever. Now that every team is on television every week allows not only programs like Ole Miss to rise from a second tier of the SEC to the top where the Alabamas and Georgia recently owned for themselves. It allows nouveau rich programs nationwide like Texas Tech invest millions into roster acquisitions to compete for national titles. That odd dynamic is one of the reasons Saban decided to hang him up. After all, Saban's unique superpower was convincing players that their best path to future NFL millions was to get in his system and go through his fabled process. Sit a year or two behind another All-American and develop into an invisible force at your position. Then sit back and wait for Commissioner Goodell to call your name in the first round of the NFL draft. NIL riches blasted Saban's process to smithereens. Of course, because why wait to play when you can simply choose another team and both play and get paid right now? Combined with the wide open transfer portal, Alabama could no longer recruit and stash talent to allow it to marinate. Deboer operates squarely within that current dynamic. And while Alabama isn't exactly trying to throw a telethon to raise NIL millions, Crimson Tide boosters aren't exactly zillionaires either. There's no Mark Cuban equivalent in Tuscaloosa funding the program like Cuban does with Indiana. Nor is there Cody Campbell, the billionaire who bankrolled Texas Tech all the way to a college football playoff. The combination of coaching against the rearview mirror and versus a more level playing field than ever before still has Deboer trying to find consistent traction. Hit that subscribe button and give me a roll tide. His first team, stocked with plenty of saving leftovers, struggled down the stretch in 2024 and went just 9-4 with a bowl loss to Michigan in Tampa, while the college football playoff merely steamed on without the Crimson Tide. Now, okay, Tide fans, admit it. That's the first season, and the transition was bound to be bumpy. And while Alabama appeared on paper to be a better team en route to an 11-4 record and a college football playoff berth, Tide fans watched the rushing game sputter to a stop on a weekly basis. Their beloved team got waxed by Georgia in the SEC title game, and then a team that still refers to the Rose Bowl glory in its fight song got spanked by Indiana and Pasadena. Just like that, Alabama had regressed back to the pack. Simply rolling into the Rose Bowl expecting to win only results in a 38-3 loss that wasn't even that close. The Crimson Tide had gone from the purveyors of the joyless murder ball to now pretty much being just like everyone else, a program hopeful for a healthy dose of good breaks along the way just to get into position to compete in the postseason. Which brings us to Deboer in 2026. Not only will Alabama have to at least equal last season's 10-win regular season, it would have to do so against the usual gauntlet of SEC heavyweights, Georgia, Tennessee, A&M, LSU, and Auburn. All smell blood in the water in the form of a first-year quarterback starter in either Kalen Russell or Austin Mack. The rushing game, well, probably can't get any worse, but there are no concrete signs it will get any better. And Alabama's defense can only play so well for so long before crumbling yet again under the weight or carrying a pop gun offense. The whispers were there already at the end of 2025, with Alabama still alive in the college football playoff after the first round win against Oklahoma. That Deboer was looking for a way out. Michigan ended up being a mirage for Deboer, partially because of that victory in Norman. But who knows just how close Deboer came to listening to a potential offer from Ann Arbor. And if the Tide find choppy water again this season, well, Deboer is certainly self-aware enough to go looking for a lifeboat before the ship hits the proverbial iceberg. That's why it's probably more likely than not that Alabama will be riding on the coaching carousel at some point in 2026. Deboer ain't Saban, and Alabama simply can't be the Alabama it was when Saban patrolled the sidelines. Guys, what's your thoughts? Hey, look, I've said it before. Deboer is not the guy, but I try to be optimistic because of the changes that he's made thus far. Now, Grubb won't be standing on the sideline this weekend for the Super Bowl. Why? Because Seattle cut their losses and sent him packing. Well, where did he come? He came to Alabama. And where's Seattle? Playing in the Super Bowl on Sunday. What does that say? Grubb has a lot to prove this season with two new quarterbacks at the helm. Which one will it be? It doesn't even matter. Because at the end of the day, that offense has to be able to move the ball on the ground and connect with receivers. And an O-line has to hold up enough to do all of that and then some. You guys leave a comment. What's your thoughts? And guys, give me a roll tide and hit that subscribe button. Until the next time, remember, back in Bama with Corey, all about Bama football.
Subscribe to Back in Bama with Corey, all about Bama football. Turn on all notifications and hit that like button.